every day I think about like just like going completely just left on Twitter and just
Going for the bag.
just you know, and just selling out for the bag. But then like I feel like I enjoy the app too much to like hate it. And I'm just like I Welcome to Responsibly Irresponsible. It's Cliff here with KP, Corn.
Yo.
We have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Syracuse legend, Matthew Jordan in the building. Matt, say hi to the people.
Hello, people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is my guy right here. I think he's gonna have a great time on the pod. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
You guys were roommates, right?
Absolutely not. No.
No? Oh.
No. He went to Syracuse University, and I went to Fisher College in Boston. We were not roommates.
Oh, okay.
We were just close friends from New Jersey.
Okay, sick.
But Matt, I guess we have to start off every podcast at least addressing Corona, unfortunately. How you holding up?
I'm good.
Right.
But what's interesting is there's been a lot of studies that come out that say that people could have had it months ago. And my little sister had all the symptoms and they wouldn't identify what she had, or they couldn't identify what she had. So that's pretty interesting. She might have had it, but
that's
wow.
I'm cool. I know a lot of people that got it, but luckily nobody really close to me.
Yeah, it was crazy. I know, like in that Northeast area, everybody's so close together. You probably know a lot more people that have it than I don't know that many people that have actually gotten it, honestly. But that's crazy. Well, I'm glad y'all are doing all right. And like you happen to go to one of the bigger schools on the East Coast, well, at Syracuse. So I know.
Yeah.
What was that like when you guys had to like clear out?
So we first got this is interesting. This can lead right into the teaching, but we first got the email on like March 14th saying that stuff might be shutting down, and then they sent us an email a day later saying that everything's shutting down for at least like the week after spring break, and we all know that everything's shut down for good now. But that's what they told us, and me being like somebody who's a teacher, I didn't really know what to do because I still had to go teach. I needed my hours to graduate, and I can't get my hours to graduate if I'm not there.
Okay.
True.
Dang. And so, that's kind of crazy. So what exactly got you doing right now? Because your hours remaining is supposed to be classroom
obviously,
stuff.
They had to change the way they do things now. They're still trying to figure it all out, the states and stuff, because teaching varies from state to state. And in Syracuse today, it's really not that bad, the coronavirus. So I could probably go up there and go get my stuff whenever. It's just whenever I feel like doing it. But the problem is so many people in New York City have been moving around and like going to different areas of the Jersey Shore and upstate into upper New York, and they're the ones who are really spreading it. And now what they have me doing is just kind of sitting around. I'm like literally, I have nothing to do. They haven't told me to do anything. They changed some of the
no work, nothing. Since
yeah, kind of.
That's kind of lit though. I mean, if I was in college, that's kind of popping.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. When you're a senior about to graduate, it kind of sucks.
And this would be year. Was this your senior year, or do you have one more after this?
Yeah, this is my senior year, last semester.
Dang.
I'm like done.
Dang. Well, so okay, so you're still they're working out a way for you guys to still end up with your credits to, I'm assuming, walk in the fall.
Yeah. Well, no, we're graduating this semester now. At the beginning, it was messed up where they didn't know what they were going to do with us, but now they kind of decided that since everybody in the country is in the same boat, it'd be best to just change the way you get your certification and change your hours, because you can't really teach if, like, I work in an inner city, so I can't really do the Zoom things because most of my kids don't have computers and don't have internet, or at least some of them do, enough where you couldn't be able to hold the class.
Gotcha.
Dang.
Well, speaking about your teaching situation, I think that's probably one of the most interesting things that of anybody that I've known that has made that decision. I know when we all decided to go to school, because we're just a year apart in the classroom at least, and when you decide to go to Syracuse and you're like, I want to be a teacher, that was like, I was looking at you like, bro, what? Like, can you can you explain like that decision a little bit for us?
How I got there? Yeah.
Yeah, like how
So
did you
in
come
high
to that?
school, I went to a private high school, and they had these things called retreats where we would go around and like do community service. And I had always knew that I was kind of good with kids. Not like that, but I was good around kids. So
Whoa.
what I would do is like in my grade school, I would like, work at the after school program and just help out, hang out with kids. And then but when I went on that trip my sophomore year of high school, we went to Camden, New Jersey. You know anything about
Hey.
Camden, New Jersey? It's not a nice
Whew.
place. Um, and luckily, my 2 days I was there, I got to go to to schools. So we went to schools, and I was able to, hang out with teachers. I noticed like kids being drawn to me, wanting to talk to me, like looking at me as somebody that like they can look up to. They tell me stuff about them. Um, just like being drawn towards the kids and the kids being drawn back to you is what
Mm.
got me really into it. And then I was like, you know what? I could probably make a living out of this. Well, not really a living because teachers are underpaid, but
Yeah, we joke about
enough
that a lot.
enough so I'm comfortable. Yeah,
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Yeah, I
Dang.
have a different appreciation for what you do now. Now that I'm kind of working in that area where I'm dealing with a lot of the youth, and it is. I gotta tip my hat to you. Like, it's a very interesting decision to make, and I mean, I mean, it sounds like all the experiences that you've had with it are really, really good, and definitely like surprisingly like really good for like self development, because you learn about yourself through like a lot of other people.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I had to kind of agree with Cliff. I mean, me and Cliff are kind of the same way in there. Like, we both don't really care for people so much. But
I love people just on my own time. That makes
yeah.
sense.
But yeah, I mean, I could never do that. I could never have a job in something like that, especially with kids, because kids are so their brains work so much different than adults, and it's like there's certain, you can't treat a child like you can an adult. You can't just be like, shut up, like just stop talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a whole yeah, like like Cliff said, I have mad respect for that. And is there a certain like branch of teaching that you are in, or is it just like
Yeah,
teaching?
I'm high school. So I'm high school, which is called secondary education. So that would be certification from 7th to 12th grade. And my focus is social studies, but I can do economics. I can do like civics. I can do all those types of classes. Those all fall under social studies.
Oh, that's cool.
Gotcha. And he's actually a beast with the social studies stuff and like geography. Like all the things that I suck at, he's like really good at. So, like, he knows like every map and like every capital of every country. And like I'm like, all right, bro. Um,
So then you should definitely watch that YouTube video I just made on Cliff.
yeah. Was I sober during that?
Yes, you were definitely sober during that.
Okay, just had to clarify. But on another note with the teaching thing, so now that like, I'm kind of in a position similar to yours, where I have people who are a little bit younger than me or closer to my age, but like, how do you feel when they call you like Mr. Matt or like Mr. Jordal?
It's definitely weird.
It's super
So like,
uncomfortable.
it's very uncomfortable because I don't really, relate to that because like it's not something I'm known to be called as. But what I notice is kids today, they cut the name out. It's just Mister. So it'd be
Okay.
like, yo, Mister, and I'll be like, what? And it's not like there's not much formality with it anymore. Or it might just be like a yo, and I'll be like, yo, what? There's not much more. There's not much
so
formality with
so for
teaching
context,
anymore.
how old are you?
I am 22.
Wow. Wow. So
That's
yeah,
what I'm
you're
saying. Like he's getting his degree to teach ages from 7th grade to 12th grade. So I'm like the gap isn't really
so
that.
you're teaching kids your age
Basically,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. They think the way
Dang.
I do. They act the way I do. Like we did a field trip where we went to go read to like kindergartners, and we had to walk outside. And
Mhm.
I think about Syracuse, it snows a lot. And on the way there, I was throwing snowballs at some of my kids.
Yeah.
So how's that? That's interesting. How's that relationship work? Like, uh, that's got to be a really hard balance between being your students' friends and
Hmm.
being their teacher, because there has to be somewhat of a a responsible adult, like, I'm above you kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one thing that, and I still kind of struggle with that a lot. I feel like sometimes I'm just like too nice to the kids, but I still think that the first thing in teaching that you need to do with students is to get them to like you or get them to open up towards you. Because if you don't have any relationship with the kid's not going to do anything in your class.
Yeah.
But you need to
Yeah.
try to find the balance between having relationships with the kids, but also there being a respect level between the kids and you. And I feel like I'm
Yeah.
able to do that with some kids, but not all of them.
Yeah. You have to draw that line pretty early on.
But see, that's the thing about teaching that's so crazy to me. Because like, how do you like the things that you would say that you struggle with when it comes to teaching students? I don't even know how they improve. Like, how do you get better at that?
Well, like Corn said, you got to start like that first week. It's all about like building rapport and building that respect level. Like when so for student teaching, the first semester and the second semester, you're in different schools. At least that was my situation. So when I went to the
Mhm.
second school, the kids didn't know me at all. And instead of teaching material the first 2 days, I just did rapport stuff. So I did like, fun activities, and then I did like note cards, them to tell me about them. And through that, I was able to build relationships quickly to the point where I was getting participation out of kids. But if you try to do that halfway through the year, you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah. Have you taught any younger ages?
So my first semester was ninth grade, and my second was 12th grade. So
Okay.
I've only been in the student teaching part where I'm up there by myself. There's no other teachers in the room for my senior year. That's how it works. So you
Okay.
build up to your senior year, and your senior year, you just teach.
So you've only handled pretty much like older teenagers?
Yeah, at least,
Okay.
yeah, high schoolers, only high
Okay.
schoolers.
In between the
Okay.
two,
Only high school.
what's your favorite right now, ninth or 12th, of the two that you've had?
12th. But a lot of my 12th graders were actually like 20, 21, 22.
Mm.
Um, but 12th, because I think they're just more mature. Ninth graders are tough, man. If you told me like the worst grade in high school, it's ninth graders for sure.
So I have just a quick question, because in college I befriended my chemistry teacher, and we were on good terms, and I had asked him. I guess a bunch of my buddies were going out, and I had asked him if he wanted to join because he was around our age. I think he was only 2 years older than us. So I asked him, hey, you want to come? And he said, I would, but I can't because of our relationship. So, with your students, since you're so close in age, do you have students that are asking you, like, hey, you want to go for coffee, or hey, you want to hang out? And how do you respond to that?
Asking cuz on a date?
Yeah, yes. So a lot of students
Oh, please.
go ahead and like try. No, 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 not a date. I haven't been asked on a date. I have been told that I'm cute by students, and
Oh
I just,
yeah.
just say, "All right, thank you," and I just keep moving. But it's tough because you do get that question a lot, especially being so close in age with students. I actually got one of my college professors to go out and drink with us one day after class. But with high school students, they ask you a lot to like come do stuff. Like I had kids invite me to the rec center to go play basketball because I went during my lunch break and I was smoking kids. They're like, "Yo, come
Woo.
play with us at the rec center," and I was like, I'm good." Um,
Yeah.
and you have kids like ask you for your social media. That's a big one. I actually add kids on TikTok because on TikTok you're able to um, close your DMs. So that
Okay.
way, like, yeah, that's the big thing. You cannot have a kid private message you under any circumstance until they're graduated. So
Yeah.
you can't allow them to hit you up on any social media because that's just red flags everywhere.
Mhm.
So I was
Gotcha.
able to do it on TikTok because I was able to close my DMs, and then I could add kids on there. And if you want to contact me, you have to do it through TikTok comments, which are public.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. This. I don't know. I mean, this whole like you being a teacher around the same age as your students, that kind of boggles my mind. Like there's so many like red flags that come up, like as far as
Hmm.
in your position, as far as with students flirting with you, students wanting you to go out and drink with them, students wanting you to go out if they have a good reputation with you to like you said, go out to parties or like do that kind of stuff. And
Hold on, real
it
quick. On that point that you're making, KP, Matt, like, would the rules be different for a college professor than a high school teacher?
Kind of, I would think so, but a professional shouldn't do that under any circumstances. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
it's a little different.
Is it
Okay.
more flexible when you're a professor than a like high school teacher?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
One big
Um.
thing that I got asked is, don't mean to brag, but Syracuse University, number one ranked party school in the nation. Um,
Mhm.
I got a lot of questions while I was in the high school. They're like, "Are the parties really like that? Do you guys go crazy?" And then you cannot tell them anything. You can't tell them anything about that. You just got to be like, "Yeah, there's parties, and yeah, stuff happens, but making your college decision is more important than who has the best parties."
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
uh,
So it become. I mean, along with the teacher comes, I would think, a lot of responsibility because you being 22. I mean, I would think that you being a teacher, you would have to watch what you do. Kind of like a social media influencer has to watch what they do. They can't just go posting what everything they do. You know what I mean? So like, how do you balance your personal life and your professional life?
So luckily, I'm not on Instagram and I'm not on Facebook just because I don't know, I just never got on them in the first place. But I am on Twitter, but my Twitter's private, and I am on Snapchat, and I've had kids find me on Snapchat and try to add me, um, and I just decline them every time. But you have to be careful because it's like any other job. It's a direct representation of who you are, and there's so many
Mm-hmm.
stories about college kids getting in trouble for what they post online, and then the students
yeah.
what they post online.
See, I
They give
kind
us
of.
a whole sorry, they give us a
No,
whole
you're good.
paper um, when we first start our student teaching, which is basically a contract saying all the things you cannot do as a
Mm-hmm.
student
Oh,
teacher.
okay. Ooh.
That's
Mm.
crazy. Yeah, I mean, in a way, you're kind of that contract is you agreeing to like, yeah, your life is not going to be once you sign this contract, you're going to have to follow these kinds of rules.
And so, like, are you? I'm assuming since you're this far now, you're okay with that. But does that? Is it how do you really feel about that? Like, is it annoying? Like, you like sometimes I want to like turn it off and just
Like,
is that
what do you mean?
like for example, like when you're someone who's in that position who is could be influential over a pretty major group of people, and they're in prime real estate age where it's like they're whatever they learn they kind of like run with it, and so if they view you in a certain light, maybe you tweet something crazy, and I could kind of like change that like in a day. Like, do you get tired of having to like wear the Batman cape?
Um, no, not really, because all my stuff is private, so they can't really, search our tweets up. Like we search your old tweets up and
Relax, relax, relax,
and find some stuff.
relax.
But but
Have you never
uh,
had have you never had an interest in doing that? Like, have you never been kind of like the kind of person that's like, this is what I'm doing and I want to show it to the world kind of deal?
no, not really. I mean, I always wanted to make like a YouTube channel, which is I'm still trying to do because I bought the microphone. But that's
Now's the
always one
time.
thing I wanted to do. But the thing that really is important with your student teaching and just teaching in general is just, like knowing who you are. You're teaching somebody else's kids, you're responsible for their kids 8 hours a day at least. And you need to watch what you do and watch what you say and watch how you act because, at the end of the day, you're shaping somebody's life.
True.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, it's just it's crazy because that's a lot of responsibility, especially for a 22-year-old. I mean, I'm going on 25, and I do not want that responsibility.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you gotta tip your hat to him, bro. Like this is
Oh
a
yeah, for sure.
it's an underappreciated profession, and so I'm actually very happy that you've decided to do this because it's teaching me a lot about a lot of
underpaid
things.
too.
Yeah, underpaid
Um,
severely.
yeah, and another thing, especially as a social studies teacher, because if you're in social studies, you have to talk about current events. It's kind of just a thing. And you
Mhm.
have to be especially very careful that you don't put your political opinions onto your students. And
Yep.
that is very
Mhm.
difficult to do, especially in this age.
Especially right now.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
speaking to that point
crazy.
that you made earlier about wanting to create a YouTube channel, I'm not saying that this is what you wanted to make, but being that we are in such a weird situation currently where we're meeting with most people through Zoom or FaceTime or whatever platform you use to communicate at this point, YouTube is kind of probably going to be a rather interesting educational platform. Not that it wasn't already, but now that we can't see people, did you ever think about doing something like that on YouTube?
Yeah. I mean, even in every single lesson, I have some sort of media for video just to switch things up. But I mean,
Gotcha.
Have you
the world is changing into more technology. And I think, especially with teaching, because now they're pushing for more and more technology in the classroom because that's what kids know how to do. And I think what
Yeah.
this virus has done, if it's one good thing, it's shown the world that internet access and computers and things like that are essential to succeed in this society. They're more uh,
more than essential?
yeah,
Yeah, for
they're
sure.
a necessity even.
Yep.
They're like food and water and clothing and housing. It's on that level at this point. I think that's what this has taught people.
Yeah, that's crazy that you mentioned that internet is kind of on that level. I mean,
But it
in a
really
way,
is. It really is.
no,
It's
no, no,
crazy.
no. I'm agreeing,
Yeah.
but in a way it's kind of sad, but in a way it's kind of like wow, like our generation is going to be the first generation to kind of like take the internet by storm and like use it to its full potential. And kind of like how you said, like the internet is becoming such a necessity. It's like food, water, clothing, housing, that kind of stuff. And it's it's crazy to think about that, like to think that yeah, that's true. I mean, it's becoming such a necessity. It's just crazy.
And with the the way that this is going with these new platforms and I mean, I've been Zoom calls all day about what different ways or what platforms we can use to teach people now. Um, do you think that please, do you think teaching will go back to how it was before with something so drastic happening like this?
What do you,
Let's see, I don't really know. I think it will, but one thing that I've done to prepare is think about what I would need to do if everything is online when I actually become a teacher. Now, I am trying to go to grad school, but if I don't go to grad school, I go right into the field. I mean, we might hit the fall and we're still not opening schools. So, what do I
Mhm.
need to do to teach then and creating lesson plans that work for students when they're at home rather than at school?
Yeah.
so you're saying you also mentioned it's kind of known that teachers are severely underpaid. Have you thought of any like other avenues of revenue, like as far as like maybe doing Skillshare or Fiverr and teaching classes that way, or is that a conflict of interest?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to make money. I'm trying to get back into buying and selling sneakers. That's always a great way to make some quick cash. But I mean, there's always ways because as a teacher, you have 3 months off in the summer,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and that's always a time to get a part-time job, teach yourself how to code. My brother, who was a teacher, taught himself how to code, and now he works for Comcast in Philadelphia, like the Comcast headquarters. So
That's
it's like
crazy.
there's always other revenues of getting money, and especially as a teacher because you have so much time off in the summer where you can begin to work. But it also depends what state you're in. Some states pay their teachers fine, and others do not.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's weird, man. All this these jobs, how technology has opened up so many avenues of jobs. I think I kind of missed that like I was right on the edge. All my trades that I know are hands-on. Like everything that I know that I can go back to on a job, like for a secular level, all has to do with like manual labor and like trades.
Mm.
And the fact that, computers and technology and internet is becoming, oh, I think it has become, but it's a trade now. And there's so much need for that in everything we do. Like, I mean, one of the facets that I've done is INC, instrument and control, which it goes over the sensors of all these robots for like generators and like in big manufacturing plants, all those robots that are doing work in the forklifts and like taping boxes and all that stuff. They all have these internals to them, and they have certain people that deal with these internals, certain people that deal with the programming side of the internals, people that are controlling these robots. Like there's so many avenues of the same thing that a person can get a job in, and it's crazy, and it's just growing, and it's continuing to grow.
In a way, it's very exciting though.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just
for sure.
it's like okay, he's like, well, if you're a teacher, like you said, you get those 3 months off, but this new trade that we're calling, I agree with you, KP. I think the internet is a trade, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the good thing about this trade is that it's something that pretty much every person who has access to it uses it every day, and there's millions of things that you can learn on it at your own pace, at your own time, and so it's like it's endless opportunities. It's just depending on how you leverage them.
Yeah. So Matt, your name's Matt, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
So teaching, would you say that teaching is your passion?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I feel a sense of like when I do a lesson,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes well, I feel really good about it. Like it's a high for me for the rest of the day until I teach the next day.
That's
I just
awesome.
always feel good, and it's always cool to, know that you taught kids something that day, and it's stuck.
Yeah, that is so, I think, so important and so um forgotten sometimes in your secular field. Like people that there's millions of people that their secular job is not their passion. They just do it for the money. They do it to survive. But to be able to work in a field that is your passion and it makes you feel good, and you're doing something for the world, that's special. That is really
Yeah,
special.
it
If I
really
was
is.
doing it for the money, I wouldn't be teaching. I'll tell you that much.
That Yeah, that's true. So that brings me to my other question. You're saying there's 3 months of you doing basically nothing, like maybe doing some side classes, but like what would you go into in those 3 months if you had the option to do anything, like for another secular income? What would you do?
I would see. I really have no idea. I mean, I know how to do. I'm good at a lot of things, but I couldn't tell you what I could do to make money that way.
Is there
I know
something
I'm a
that you
very good
want to?
writer. I know I'm a good writer. I always wanted to get into YouTube, but now YouTube, the whole algorithm with the payments is all messed up, so it's hard to become a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I know how to code a little bit. I can do like I know I can do like video game modding and things like that. I know how to code, but
That's
um,
cool.
I need to expand on that. And there's so many websites we can learn how to code for free, and
Yeah.
so
Oh,
I want to get
really?
into that. Yeah,
Drop
So
those links though.
yeah.
there's a ton.
So you had said you mentioned like obviously the algorithm of YouTube is all jacked up. There's tons of YouTubers out there that are making $0 on their content they spend uh, all their time on. Um, but what I will say is that along with YouTube and as far as making money side, there's more than just making YouTube videos. Like when you
Mhm.
start making YouTube videos, you're selling yourself. Like you're selling your personality, you're selling
Yeah,
you, and that goes through all forms of social media. You got
Yeah.
Instagram, you got Twitter, you got YouTube, you have Twitch, you have streaming, you got all this stuff that if you decide to go that route and start making YouTube videos, there's endless forms of income that you can get from from brand deals to collaborating with other people,
Merchandise.
um,
Merchandising.
merchandise. It's crazy. So
Yeah.
I mean, I
The
definitely would
algorithm sucks,
encourage.
but
Yeah,
I'm with you.
it
Do it
sucks.
anyways. Just do it anyways.
Yeah, do it anyways. I mean,
Yeah, I
if it's
mean,
something you want to do, definitely go
yeah,
2 feet
it'd be
forward.
like teaching. It's something that I'm passionate about. I always wanted
Oh
to make
yeah,
content.
and that'll show in your content, in anything you do
Hmm.
for that. It'll show, and that's what people thrive on. I mean, me personally, if I see a YouTuber that definitely can tell they're just doing it for oh, gotta make another video today, let me get on the grind, that shows through their content. And it also shows through their content when that person is doing that because they're passionate about what they're making, and they take pride in what they're making, and that's who I want to watch. So I mean, so there's so many avenues with social media, and it's for me, I love it. I mean, I love it.
Look, so being that I know you take education very seriously, hence why you're doing what you're doing. I would love to get your perspective on college in general, because I mean, obviously, you're going to be teaching high school kids
Hmm.
from in whatever grade they are, but usually you start thinking about college in high school. They start talking about it what sophomore year maybe, just to keep you
Hmm.
on track. But we've had different college experiences, and I know you value it in a different way because you needed to go in order to do what you're passionate
Yeah.
about. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, with college, I think everything, it just depends on what field you're trying to go into. And I think now there's so many
Mhm.
things that you can teach yourself online. Like my brother did not graduate with a degree for coding or for IT or for design, web design. He graduated with a teaching degree and he taught himself on the side. And now he works for, Comcast. So it's like,
Mhm.
hearing stories like that makes you wonder, like, for what professions do you really need college for anymore?
Yeah.
But for teaching, I mean, you kind of need it. Like, there's no way around teaching and college. You gotta go because you
Mhm.
have to get your hours in. You have to learn how to teach. You have to learn all the pedagogy. You have to learn all the intellectual stuff, like the psych stuff that you learn. You have to learn all you have to learn history again, and
Yeah.
it's a lot. And then they make you
Gotcha.
take science classes, even though you're a history teacher, because college works.
Yeah. And so, like, okay, so you're in your fifth year. Um,
Fourth.
give me fourth. I'm sorry, because you're a senior. Yeah, I'm tripping. You're going to grad school. Um, how have your 4 year, like, if you had to rate your 4 years on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your rating?
Year by year, or just in general?
Just in general, just put them all together.
I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. I had, and a lot of the things that would lower my score were not in my realm of influence, so I didn't really have much control over the things that would lower my score. I had like
Mhm.
a lot of roommate problems. Just like go down the list. First roommate played League of Legends until 4 a.m. every night. Second roommate was a slob and dropped out. Like disgustingly slob. I was freaked out. I wouldn't even go to the room. I would just go hang out in other people's rooms. Um, but I had to get out of that room where I was being woken up at 4 a.m. every night. Third roommate, my boy, got kicked out for a semester. Um,
Oh,
and
this
who's
is
my
the
roommate
legend. This is
now?
my boy
The
G.
legend, the legend. And my roommate after that, they moved in another guy who's really nice, but he's a little extra. Um, and then the roommate after that was a really cool major that I met in the class, luckily, and I only lived with him for a semester. He was a really nice guy. And then back with my boy who returned.
Shout out to G one time.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, he's a funny guy.
legend,
Yeah,
legend.
what a legend. We'll talk about him later. I have to get him on the show. Um, but yeah, bro, that's actually amazing because you know, as as we get further into this and into technology booming and more things get get made. There's more opportunities that people can find themselves. I'm actually curious to see how the next generation of kids are introduced to the idea of college. Because when we were in school, it was like you going to college. Like it ain't
Yeah,
really not talk about. Like you're going to college. And now
yeah.
it's like that's not really like the tune that most people sing anymore. Like you said, it's very dependent on what you want to do. But I mean, if we break it down, look at the facts. Like most things that most people want to do, you can pretty much probably teach yourself. Um, that combined with the experiences you can find, if you can find other experiences of people who are already doing it, there's a lot of other avenues you could go down. And so
So do
yeah,
you
I'm
think for
definitely.
you, Cliff, for marketing, you didn't have to go to college?
Um, I don't think I had to. Like I said, I'm not mad that I did, but like as I'll be a year removed in May. I don't think I had to go. I think there's definitely ways that if I knew, or if I put it this way, if I put my best foot forward in high school and I actually like, just sat down and tried to be as self-aware and be into development as a 15, 16-year-old kid, which isn't, that's not,
Yeah, like that's
whatever.
gonna
It's just
happen.
not
Not
going to happen.
possible.
But like, if I could go back, I would look into see, what things excited me the most and what I was really into. And I'm pretty sure that I probably could have leveraged those ideas and things that I like into something else that would have something to do with marketing in itself too, without me having to go to school. Because a lot of marketing and like, I mean, most of the degrees that you get that you don't need that are mandatory to do something, most of it you could either learn from someone, or you can go pick up a book. Like I said, I mean, like, seriously, I mean, like most of the things that I learned in my college courses, I've read books that have either taught me more or gone way more in depth, or the things that make way more sense and way more
Mhm.
applicable than what I learned in the classroom.
Yeah, I mean, I shoot me in school. I never learned anything from a book. Like honestly, I was always a hands-on learner, and I went to a vocational school for electrical, and all my other classes I kind of just went through the motions and got my credits, but then my core class, my trade class, I would actually pay attention and like actually do, and I learned all my stuff like hands on, and it's like I can't learn from a book, so most of my learning happened after school in the field. Like everything that I've learned through after college was all just by watching someone do it. And
Mhm.
especially like for YouTube too, you know, I've learned a lot of stuff on YouTube just from other people, like,
Yeah.
branding and building a business and like all this stuff that I never thought I would even be interested in. And I see other people do it. I'm like, man, I really want to, I really want to do that. And some stuff when you watch it, it just clicks. And I think that's,
Mhm.
that's the beauty of the internet right there. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, and you're making me rethink what I said earlier because when I think back on my education classes that didn't involve me in a classroom, I couldn't really tell you how much I took from them. I too
yeah.
am a hands-on learner, and I
Hmm.
found that like me observing my teachers, and me teaching myself made me learn way more than any of those classes were. Like they give you this book called Teach Like a Champion, and it is the friggin' worst book ever made, and I hate it so much. And it's funny because like it's a joke among teachers. Like my teacher that I had last semester, she knew what it was and she hated it. And but this is the book they give you, and the people in the college don't know what they're talking about because all they talk about is this book. And I'm like, well, I
Yeah.
don't care about the book if I can't, make connections with the kids and them not listen to me. What is this book going to do for me?
Yeah.
And I
That's
So
think,
I don't
crazy.
I,
know.
I
That's how I
think
mean.
it's
That's how a
also,
lot of it goes. Go ahead.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's also important to note too, as far as, being an observer and learning, by watching people. I will say this, that you can't just learn by watching someone. There
Hmm.
has to be a point where you step in and
Agree.
you have to
Yeah.
do that thing yourself. whether or not, you fail 1,000 times, you have to do that. You have to fail that 1,000 times to learn from that. You're not going to learn from other.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah. You gotta
when it
get in
comes
the
to
game.
hands-on stuff, I want to say almost you're not going to learn from someone else's mistakes until you make that mistake yourself. If that makes any sense,
It makes a lot of
I
sense.
agree. So like
But
my first semester student teaching, it's called like your candidacy. So you take generic steps into where toward at the end of the semester you're up there by yourself for, your classes. But it goes like for the first month of the semester, you're basically observing or like you're an aide, you walk around and help. Sometimes you teach things. Luckily I had a really good uh teacher who let me jump in and stuff, but he was a Michael Jordan fan, so yeah. The second month, um they let you more or less like co-teach, but he would let me just jump in. So I had two classes that I was responsible for, and he was great. He just let me jump in, and like best way to learn is you being up there teaching. It's not watching somebody else; it's learning how you learn how
yeah,
to teach. What works best for you as an individual, not
yeah.
watching somebody else do it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when I did the INC, not to, a little flex here, but like straight from high school, I got hired by my local power company, electrical company, and I went straight to industrial from learning, residential to going straight to industrial. And the foreman that I was following around he had the worst habit of just doing everything for me. Like he would be, showing me something and just he would do it. And I'd be like, by the time I'm like trying to figure out what the heck he's doing, it's done already.
It's
I'm like,
done.
all
Yeah.
right, well, I learned nothing from that. And I would have to I would have to, be the one to be like, bro, can I do this? Like, let me do this. And he's like, but I haven't, I have to show you. I'm like, just let me do it. But I mean, yeah, I mean, you gotta step in there, and I think that's very vital uh, a vital step to learning anything is to do it.
And like to that point, being that the three of us all now understand how we learn and what makes us what how we can improve the fastest or what things need to happen for us to actually be successful. I know earlier when I was saying that I wish when I was 15 or 16 that I took the time to, learn about myself. That way I could figure that out. And obviously we were saying like, that's impossible because like when you're 15, 16, like you're just not you're just your head's all over the place.
Yeah.
So like my question to Matt as the teacher now is how do we change that? Like how do I get a 16-year-old kid to like to sit down and understand like how serious it is that you figure out like kind of like not who you are completely, but at least how you learn, because a lot of people don't realize that until they get older.
Ugh. It's tough, and it varies from kid to kid. Like what you try to do with one kid isn't going to work with every kid. And it's like as a teacher, you have upwards to 30 kids in your room. One of my classes this year had 36 kids, and
Jeez.
25 of them were ENL students, which they don't speak English very well. They're refugees, and
Hmm.
it's hard to get those kids to understand that they're going to be entering the real world soon. They're going to be graduating high school, like what you need to do to succeed. But luckily, what Syracuse University did was that on Fridays, they would send in these people in our business department, which is Maxwell Business, very good business school. And what they would do is or Whitman Business, my bad, Maxwell's the communications. Whitman Business, and they would come in and they would work with the kids and teach them some life skills. So they would teach them like how to finance yourself, how to work through different things, and they would reward the kids with candy and stuff. But you could tell that some of the kids were actually interested in what they were doing. Like a couple of kids downloaded that Acorns app afterwards.
Okay.
You know, the app where
Saving
you
money.
can save your cents. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like they taught them some important life school skills, but at the end of the day, they were still telling them you need to go to college. And I'm like, well, that's not really true, but you know,
Yeah, I'm curious to see what position you have on that when that that topic comes up when you're teaching your kids, because it's obviously it's like if you're gonna be teaching high school, you're gonna be like immediately thrown into that, because there's always the kids who are naturally already like like everyone's not built for college, but there's some people who are bred for it, like they're ready to go. and it's just gonna be interesting to see how that changes, bro. I'm very curious to see what the narrative on secular education is.
Yeah.
Is there is there a certain like type of like groups of kids that you work with? Do you work with just like general high school classes, or like a special education type of deal, or is how's that?
So I'll be certified for gen ed, but I'm going to grad school actually for special ed because in the summer I worked at a summer school, which is another way for teachers to make money is summer school. A lot of
Hmm.
schools have summer school. But I'm going to get certified in special ed, but I'm going to get special ed inclusion, which are kids that are special ed that come into your classroom rather than be pushed into different classrooms. But
Hmm.
a lot of the E&L kids, so language learners, are considered gen ed, but a lot of times they're not because they have very specific needs that
So
they need in the classroom.
sorry, expand on special ed because I honestly don't know what that means. What does special ed mean?
So special ed, it's 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 difficult. It's very complex. It's very controversial. A lot of people, don't really know what to do with it. There are direct schools that are only special ed, and that's usually for the kids who really can't make it in a regular school. And then there's special ed exclusion rooms where the kids are in the building, but uh, they're classified as special ed. And when you get classified as special ed, you're given an IEP or a 504 plan, which are these are the two main plans where they write up ways to teach you. So it could be something like this student has anxiety, so they need a private location for testing. And it'll be the needs they have in order to succeed with the classroom. And as a teacher, it's part of your obligation to know those needs for each student that has the IEP or 504. But then there's the classrooms that are inclusion where the kids are in the classroom and you'll have like some classes you'll have like 12 kids, some classes you'll have two. It all depends from class to class on how many kids you have with IEPs or 504s.
That's
That's a lot.
crazy.
Dang.
It
Wow.
is a lot. You
I
have to read
mean,
each one.
yeah,
It really is a lot.
I think that's so special though. Like that, I think this upcoming generation and your generation of teachers, especially, that they're so informed on this, special education and how
Mhm.
not every single freaking kid learns the same way. And me, when I was in school, I mean, I have severe ADHD and I'm a very social person. So when I was in school,
Mhm.
I literally would learn nothing because my brain didn't work the way they were teaching. And back when I was in school, these special classes were not available to my severity, if that makes any sense. Like it was such a jump from like you were in the normal class or you were in the special ed class. Like the special ed class was for kids with like disabilities, like mental disabilities or stuff like that. But then all the kids like me, like with the ADHD, like the anxiety and those kind of learning disorders were all grouped together, and that was just so toxic because
Mhm.
the kids like me didn't learn anything, and the teachers, they couldn't do anything about that. So this whole
Yeah.
atmosphere of like putting these kids based on how they learn, that is so important, and it's really refreshing to hear that there's being more steps to do that. And I mean, you coming up as a teacher, I really do appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, it's important too to give all kids the same platform that they need to succeed. Every
Hmm.
kid deserves that. Um, but I think what I'm always for is inclusion. I want those kids in my classroom. They offer different perspectives, they learn in different ways, and you can shape your lessons in so many different ways with those kids included in the classroom. I think that's
Mhm.
always really important. Now, you can't meet every need that a student has. I mean, they try to tell you that you can, but realistically, it's just not possible. But
Yeah.
you can meet as many of those needs possible and give those kids a chance to succeed. But the problem is that there's so many teachers that don't want to go that extra step and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah. All right. So on some fun stuff. I know you said that. I know you said that the kids are into TikTok. All right. So you've been in more high school classrooms in the last 4 years than I have.
Mhm.
Um. So like, what's good? Like they on TikTok? Like they dancing? Like what's going on?
Oh, everybody's on TikTok. You go to the library, there's kids making TikToks. You go like hang out, there's kids making TikToks. If you're having like before class, there's kids on TikTok or they're making TikToks. That's just how it is these days. Like it was crazy. Like everywhere you look, there's somebody making a TikTok. And I had some kids who had like 50, 60, 70,000 followers on
On
TikTok.
TikTok?
The older kids, yes, like they blow up. Especially girls. They would get like
Obviously.
Surprise.
80,000 followers, and like they'd be like, "Look at this video! I have 500,000 views." I'm like, "That's crazy! Put me on, get me in your TikTok." And
He
yeah,
said,
so
"Put
that's
me on."
how it
Oh
went
my
down.
goodness.
That's all they do is just on TikTok. Now, eventually, probably at the end of the summer, I'll delete my TikTok just in case, it causes
They
any
run an
problems.
audit.
Yeah, but for now, I'm just chilling out.
But yeah, that's crazy because I mean, I'm on TikTok often at this point because the app is hilarious. I enjoy the
Oh
creativity.
God, you're on
It is one of the
TikTok
funniest.
now?
No,
It's
no, no,
great.
no.
It
I'm
is.
not.
It's
I
pretty
don't. I'm
great.
not participating. I'm
Oh, okay.
consuming.
All right. Okay.
I
All
will
right.
participate at some point though. Maybe. I can't
I
dance
had a
though.
So
couple of TikToks out at one point, but I took them down.
so Matt, what is your overall census on TikTok? Is it a yay
Um,
or a nay?
it's a yay if used in moderation. My sister refuses to make one. She's 16. She refuses to make one because she said if I made one, it would be all that I would do.
Good for
And I'm
her.
like, that's mad
Wow.
respect for that, but let
The
me
self
hop on
restraint.
TikTok real quick.
She's
Um,
going places.
yeah,
Yeah, she's gonna be great. Wow.
but I
Okay,
think
So
it's
sorry.
pretty interesting.
so
I had
TikTok
a
a yay.
I had one teacher who would add kids on Snapchat. Now
Oh,
that's a little risky, but when he
big
would do it
oof.
in a way that like worked for the students, so he got permission for the principal to do it. He's like a middle-aged guy, so none of the kids, unless you're into older guys, is really going to be hitting on him. Um,
That's kind of
and
sus
what he
though.
did was, yeah, it is. I totally agree. I would never do it, but what he would do is he would like post reminders for kids. Yo, there's a quiz tomorrow. Make sure you study. And what he would do, he said he would never look at any of the kids' snaps. He would just make snaps of reminders, and like he would do like quiz questions that kids could answer to get extra credit, and it was a way to
That's pretty
stay
dope.
connected with the kids and stuff. So it's interesting in that sense, but it's still really freaking risky. uh
I feel like there's other avenues to do that
I mean,
yeah,
other than
if it works,
Snapchat.
it works. I'm glad that it
and
worked. It's
it did
just
work for him the way that he used it, but still I would never in my life do that
no.
Yeah,
Snapchat's
because
crazy. Snapchat's out of pocket.
because
I would go,
it takes one picture from a student and then your
yep,
job, you're fired.
yep,
We'll see you.
Yeah, that's
bye
crazy.
bye.
Um, okay, so they're all on TikTok. All right, what else do high school kids do now? Like, what's the thing? Because I don't know. I can't
Now,
remember when I was in high school what like, was hot. Honestly.
um a lot. So I my first semester was more in a suburban school. So the way they acted was a lot different from my last semester, which was urban in the middle of Syracuse. I had a class where 14 out of my 25 kids were Somali, and
Whoa.
like the way they act is a lot different. So they're a lot more reserved. I think.
Okay.
Well, some of the kids in inner city are more reserved, and other ones are more flamboyant, like super flamboyant. Whereas the kids in the suburbs are more like middle of the line. So when you get in the inner city, it's really when you get the characters, um, and it's a lot of fun. Um, but what they like to do, play sports. Obviously, I got asked like every lunch period to go play basketball, and I would just tell them no because I was planning for a week in advance.
He's saying
Um,
no because he's like, I'm gonna drop y'all off. Y'all ain't ready. Yeah, you know
yeah, yeah.
this.
No, I literally, I went down there. I don't mean to brag. We played to 11. I had 10 points.
Okay.
And but they do stuff like that. They talk about basketball. A lot of them smoke weed. That's just a thing now. You can smell in the hallways. You know it's there. They had a lot of problems with kids smoking cigs too, outside and in the
High school? Oh
bathrooms.
yeah, well, in high school, yeah, they do kind of.
High school kids. We had
That's
a
so
kid had
swaggerless, bro. Like that's so
this kid.
swaggerless.
This kid was a genius. Mad props. Trying to get alcohol into school with metal detectors is very difficult, but he got a wine bag and he got it in. And they eventually
Oh
found
no.
him, but he got through the metal detectors with a wine bag. And
Do
then
you do
they
you have
eventually
do you
caught him
have
with
this
the wine
child's
bag
name? We
because
have to use him on the show.
he was showing it off. And then the teachers were arguing on who gets to take the wine bag home. So,
Oh my god.
That kid's a legend. I want to speak to him immediately.
yeah, I'm like
Um,
that. It's genius. That's what I said. I mean, that's just genius. I don't.
Yeah, but it's genius to a point because why was he showing it off?
why did he show it
That
off?
was
Yeah,
like a
why did he
gross
show it off?
mistake.
But the fact that he was able to get a wine bag through the metal detectors is very special.
All right, so let's talk. Okay, we're speaking of alcohol now. That's great. That's a nice little transition. Um,
Oh Lord.
so all right, so teacher Matt, you're now off the clock. What are we drinking, bro?
What we drinking? I haven't been drinking in like a couple weeks. I
I haven't
am
either because I keep forgetting to go to the liquor store before it closes.
You just procrastinated.
Bro, I just keep forgetting. I'm like, oh, it closes early. I can't get there in time.
Bro, just
yeah.
Postmates that junk.
I
Oh,
like
word.
I mean I'll drink basically anything you give me. Except for drinks mixed with soda, because I don't drink soda. I never have, never will. Um
Aye.
I like Red Bull vodkas. There's a drink called the
Whoa,
Mike.
whoa, whoa, whoa. Red Bull, but you won't
Well, I
mix
mean,
alcohol
listen,
with
it's kind of
sodas?
soda. It's kind of soda, but it's
Ah.
not. See, it's not the taste of soda, it's the fizz. And Red Bulls aren't fizzy.
Okay, I feel that.
What?
So
I feel that. I feel
I
that.
don't do fizz. I don't do fizz. I can't do it. I just can't.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
they don't have fizz. They have loads of carbonation though.
yeah, they have loads of carbonation, but not fizz. And
Okay.
when they make it in the bar, it's not fizzy, so I can drink it.
I respect
At
that.
least I
I
don't
feel
think it
that. I
is.
feel that, yeah.
Yeah.
At least I don't think it is. There's this drink called the Mike that I get at this one bar in Syracuse. Couldn't tell you what's in it, but it's fire. Um, uh, Cliff, cover your ears. I drink beer. It's just a
Ugh.
college thing. I can down a beer pretty quickly.
Corona
What
lemon.
what's your beer of choice?
Oh man, I
Uh,
already know the answer to this.
Coronas.
Corona?
Yeah, I like Coronas. I'm a basic sorority girl when it
Oh
comes to drinking. I drink
god.
sorority girl drinks. I drink fruity
Oh.
drinks. I drink
Hey,
martinis. I drink
Okay,
this
margaritas.
is why we're
no,
friends, bro. This is why we're
there's
friends.
nothing wrong with fruity drinks, but Corona? Ugh.
Corona with a lime. That's all I need.
Ugh.
Look,
Ugh.
fruity
Corona,
drinks is
you
where
have a
it's
nice
at.
grip on the bottle. I mean, I'll drink a Bud Light pitcher and like I,
Hey
I'll drink a
yo.
Bud Light pitcher. Like if we go to DJ's, I'll drink which is a bar in Syracuse. I'll drink a Bud Light pitcher, and then I'll drink a Red Bull vodka pitcher. They sell it in pitchers, and then
Oh.
I'll drink 21 bucks a whole
Oh
pitcher
yeah,
of Red Bull
yeah,
vodka for
yeah.
yourself. I'm down in that
That's a
myself.
party. That's a
Um,
party
Mhm.
right there.
yeah. So
Wait,
Light
okay, hold on,
beer.
real quick though. You gotta explain this. See the grip of the bottle. You said like it
listen,
fits in your
like the
hand, right?
Corona bottle, it's just a nice bottle. When you're drinking your Corona, like when you're drinking a Bud Light, like you're still drinking a Bud Light. You look like an idiot, but you look like you have a mullet if you're drinking a Bud Light bottle, like the platinum bottle. Like
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it
you
is.
definitely have
The
sexual
aluminum?
relations with your cousin
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh, the
if you're drinking out of
aluminum.
that.
Wow.
But
Okay.
when you drink it out of a Corona, like there's just some class to it. There's some class.
Oh, there's
We
no
drink Corona
class
for
to
big
that.
events, like
I
like
feel that. I feel that.
the
I'm on
Super
your team right
Bowl.
now.
We drink Coronas. Um, Mayweather fights. I'm drinking a Corona.
Facts. Cinco de
Uh,
Mayo. You know.
yeah, when Kaepernick kneeled, we drank
Drink
Coronas.
Corona. Yeah,
Um,
solid.
I mean, there's a Corona for every situation that you can have in life. At least
Yo.
you're doing it with some class.
Hey man. This is what I'm
With the
saying,
lime,
bro.
you have to get it with the lime.
Ah,
This is amazing.
class. Okay, so class and Corona should not be used in the same
If it's
sentence.
with a lime, it's classic.
Oh, bro.
All right, yo, rip off the fruity drinks, bro. What are we drinking?
Yeah.
We know margaritas are elite.
anything.
That's you know.
I mean,
you
yeah.
Yeah,
have to mention
margaritas are elite.
But it's like
Top
I'm not
notch.
going to the bar and getting a margarita.
Oh,
No.
I've
You
done
know,
that. I've done that. Oh yeah,
I
I've been
can't
out
do
here.
that because when I'm at the bar, I'm either at the bar ordering a drink or I am in the middle of the bar up to something. Like I can't stand there and like go crazy in the middle of the bar with a margarita. Like that's not gonna work out. I need my
Nah.
pitcher. So like when
I
I go
got
to
you.
a
I got you. I
bar,
feel that.
when I go
Yeah,
to a
because
bar, I'm getting a Red Bull vodka or some weird drink. But if I go
if
to
you
a restaurant, I'm getting a margarita.
if you're in the bar and you spill a margarita, that's money right there. If you go in the bar,
Yeah,
you spill beer, it's not that big a deal.
it
You're
really
not
is.
lying. It is brutal if you spill a margarita, bro. That'll ruin your night.
And then it's
For
just sad too. You're like, oh,
All right, quick question. Liquor before beer, you're in the clear. Beer before liquor, you've never been sicker. Do you guys think that that's true? I don't think
true.
it's
Absolute
true.
fact.
I don't believe it
Fact.
at
It's
all.
an absolute fact.
What?
What do you
It's an
mean you don't
absolute
believe in it?
fact.
I don't believe it at all. I can drink whatever.
False.
Nah, I'm not. I can't even. I can't. Nah, I can't give you.
Because I've done that before. I've done the reverse, and bro, I did not have a good night.
I'm not testing
I
I'll
that
don't know.
just
one.
leave
Maybe
it
I
at
just
that.
have like a high tolerance. Because one night,
It
my
doesn't have to do with
sophomore
tolerance,
year,
bro.
but
It
my
has to do with your
sophomore year,
stomach.
I took like 8, 9 shots, and then I drank a pitcher of Bud Light, and I just felt fine. I didn't have any problems.
Then it's definitely your stomach. It's not your. It has nothing to do with your tolerance. It's the way it sits in your stomach, bro.
Yeah, I
You
guess.
probably have like 6 ulcers. No lie. That sounds
Yeah,
absolutely gross.
But
because
I don't drink soda, so I'm good. When I'm
Facts. No
not
kidney
drinking
stones for us.
alcohol, when I'm not drinking alcohol, I'm drinking water. I don't drink anything else. I just drink water.
Facts. I stand
Water,
by that.
almond milk, and iced tea. That's it.
Facts.
sweet or unsweet.
Sweet. What?
Sweet.
You drink unsweet tea? Are you a serial killer?
No,
You
I'm.
kidding me?
It's a question, bro.
Okay, I'm about to say. If you drink unsweet tea, we got something to talk about once this is over.
If you drink unsweet tea willingly, you're a serial killer.
Facts. No debating. That is
No
serial
debating that.
psychopath behavior.
Psychopathic behavior.
I mean, I probably just haven't drinking enough beer to give you like a good beer as my favorite beer. Now that I think
Yeah,
about
I
it.
mean,
Like,
honestly,
and
bro.
also, if you hand me an IPA, I'm throwing it back at you. I'm not drinking that.
Yeah. IPAs will give you man tits, bro.
IPAs are disgusting.
Oh, word? Well, I mean, all beer gives you man tits. What are you talking about? If you drink
I
enough
mean,
of it.
IPA more than others
IPA,
from
you're-
what I've heard.
You have a problem.
Interesting.
I remember my brother's wedding. There wasn't an open bar. Mistake number one. I don't care. Like, when I get married, like, it's going to be important, the ceremony and all of that. But if I don't have an open bar, then I failed in life because I'm not going to your wedding. There's not an open bar because this guy only had wine, which I like wine, but it's a wedding. I'm going to go sit here and drink wine and IPAs. I was so upset with the
Ugh,
drink selection at my
that's a
brother's wedding.
nasty mix.
It's a disgusting mix.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Actually, we're gonna put that on the wall for responsibly irresponsible. That's the law. If you have a wedding, the bar has to be open. If it's not
Has to be
open,
tomorrow. I'm not going.
if it's not open, don't invite us.
Don't,
It's
Yeah.
don't invite me.
disrespectful. It's disrespectful to me and my homegirl. But nah, that's a fact though. That's a fact. When do you think, given the information we have right now, how long do y'all think this is gonna last? Just ballpark it for me. What's the day we go outside and we're good?
I think you'll be good in the next couple months. But
Like you
I
said,
don't
mad
think
casual. Like
coronavirus. I don't think no, but I think like you'll start to be able to like do stuff regularly. Coronavirus will still be a thing, but like it'll be not as like hectic. You know what I mean? Everything just seems so hectic now. But I think a couple months things will kind of ease down from that. But we can't really do anything in terms of opening shit up again or stuff up again. Opening stuff up again. There you go. Until we have a vaccine, which is going to take like a year. So
Yep.
Mhm.
I don't know
That's
if I'm
crazy.
Yeah,
even going to grad school.
I kind of agree with that. I kind of agree. Like, I give it, I don't know, 2 to 3 months before we start like, well, at this rate, I mean, freaking our president wants to open everything up like nothing's going on, but
Yeah.
that's another thing. I mean, realistically, I think 2 months they're gonna start trying to open everything back up. But yeah, I mean, we're not looking at this thing going away for at least until next year.
Until there's a usable vaccine, I think.
That
And
too.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
as somebody who's inside of a college, I've been told by people that work at Syracuse that next semester might be closed and potentially the semester after that. They're preparing for it. So
Jesus, that's crazy, man.
yeah,
Wow.
we got to be here for a minute.
All right, but hey, look, Matt, thank you so much for coming on. New friend of the
Yeah, no
podcast.
problem.
I'm sure we'll have you on plenty of times because we're gonna. But I got so much. I got lots to talk to you about.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. Shout out to my boy Matt, new friend of the podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Just tune into the episode. Hope everybody's safe at home. Please social distance. Do what you gotta do so that
Stay
hopefully,
home.
hopefully we can have a summer. Hopefully, but that's not
Doubt
even
it.
that's not as important as people actually looking like dying. So like, stay home.
Plan
what
for
you're supposed to
summers
do.
at your house.
Yeah, summer's at the crib, bro. Pick up a skill. Maybe start painting.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anything.
Learn how to cook.
Hey, facts. But yeah, thanks for you guys listening. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time.